Fullerton. You're watching ESPN's Feast Week, presented by Lowe's. Our fourth quarterfinal of the day has the Portland Pilots against the 14th ranked UCLA Bruins. Both teams come in undefeated. Texas A&M and Virginia Tech punched their tickets into the semifinal round this afternoon, and then the Nebraska Cornhuskers just held off Dayton 80-78 by controlling tempo. They will take on the winner of our ball game here tonight. And welcome everybody. Along with Sean Farnham, I'm Doug Sherman. Jeff Goodman will join us shortly. UCLA averaging triple digits, and they are led by one of the premier freshmen in the country in Alonzo Ball at the point.
So you're saying their offense is clicking?
They're pretty good.
Yeah, #1 in the country as far as scoring offense goes, and a big portion of that is because the very talented freshman, Lonzo Ball. There's no secret. UCLA fans already know. If you haven't seen him nationally, time to wake up and watch, because he is a special talent that can hurt you in all phases of the game. He hasn't had a triple-double yet. Guarantee you he'll have at least a couple before the end of this season. What I love about him is his simplicity in his game. He makes so many of those hockey assists as well that we never talk about. But he is very good at setting the table for his teammates. And because of his arrival to Westwood, what has happened is there's been a little bit of a transition of power. Who's running the point guard, who's running the show. And Bryce Alford has more than willingly stepped aside and allowed this young freshman to take the controls of the offense.
Alonzo Ball averaging 16 points, 9 assists per game. It's been a well-balanced offense, and you see 40 or more points in each of their 8 halves this year. And you mentioned Alford. He's really been liberated with the arrival of Lonzo Ball, that he's not having to do everything.
No, he's got great efficiency so far in the season. Shot numbers are down, percentages are up. That's a good combo.
We'll take a break and come back with the opening tip between UCLA and Portland. It's the Wooden Legacy in Fullerton. Back on a beautiful evening in Southern California. It's the quarterfinal round of the Wooden Legacy between 14th ranked UCLA and the Portland Pilots out of the WCC. Now we bring in the third member of our team, ESPN college basketball insider Jeff Goodman, with more on #2 in white.
Lonzo Ball is a guy that's come in with as much hype to UCLA as anybody in recent years, and he's drawn comparisons to just about everybody. But the one that everybody seems to like the most, including Portland coach Terry Porter, who played a long time in the NBA, Jason Kidd. Why? His size, his ability to pass the ball, see the floor, and also even his athleticism. He said Lonzo Ball probably a little more athletic than Jason Kidd, but not that much.
Yeah, people forget Jason in high school went to St. Joseph's Academy up in Northern California. I watched him play throughout his high school years. I saw that comparison for the last couple of years as he came up through Chino Hills out here, and they absolutely had one of the most dominating high school seasons a year ago. Offensively, so efficient. No surprise to see that carry over to UCLA.
Well, you talk about that efficiency, Sean. 4-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio. And oh, by the way, there's another premier freshman on this roster. He just took the first shot. TJ Leaf, 6'10", out of El Cajon, California.
And so we've talked a lot about UCLA. Off the top, we told you how great their offense is, how efficient everything is flowing at that end of the floor. So how do you beat them?
Well, you get Jerome Marshall to make a first bucket, and away we go.
Well, the biggest thing is you got to get back in defensive transition, and what we're seeing a lot of teams start to do against UCLA is send everybody back. The shot goes up, and you want to get back, because guess what? If you don't, and you don't have a hand in a shooter's face, they're going to knock it down. A good start for Bryce Alford.
Alford now 89 back of the all-time career three-point record in program history. Jazz Johnson, who's gotten off to such a good start to his sophomore season under the guidance of head coach Terry Porter.
A little bit smaller in stature at the guard position, but what Portland loves to do is try to come off screens and attack the paint. They want to get to mid-range jump shots and get all the way to the rim and draw fouls.
Alford works the right side, kick it back. Lonzo Ball, deep three. And the rebound snatched by Philip Hartwich.
Wintering and Johnson are the key calls. Look at Wintering attack. That's exactly what they want to do if you're Portland.
And there is the former NBA All-Star, 17-year NBA vet. He spent a decade playing for the Trailblazers and really feels at home in this his first year with the Pilots.
Yeah, number 30 retired by the Trailblazers, head coach of the Bucks, the Suns, was acting head coach for a while at Minnesota, and brings a wealth of experience as a player and as a coach at the professional ranks as he tries to elevate the Portland Pilots program.
And the man at the free throw line, a good place to start. Number 2, Alec Wintering, 6 foot, all-conference senior point guard from Charlotte, knocks down a pair. Isaac Hamilton for 3.
That's beautiful execution in the half court. Misdirection with Bryce Alford going one way. They fall asleep on the back line. And Isaac Hamilton able to get open in the corner for the 3.
Marshall's pass deflected away by Leaf, who saves to Hamilton. He goes to the floor, lost the basketball. Wettering back the other way. The pull-up from the foul line. Long rebound, Leaf. He's 6'10", and look at him handle the basketball. Hamilton. Bruins fought over it. Here come the Pilots to the three-point line. Jazz Johnson.
Not the prettiest basketball in the last 3 possessions.
But certainly the pace we expected. Portland likes to get up and down as well, but you would expect for them to try and slow down UCLA. Wintering goes to the left hand.
The bigs have to be aware, and they have to be able to rotate over quickly to help out, because the guards of Portland want to get downhill, get you on their hip, and then shield and protect the score in the paint.
3 minutes in. Here's Hamilton. Took an extra step and then wedged the basketball between the rim and the backboard. And there's Steve Alford, the 4th-year head coach at UCLA, the former great Indiana Hoosier, who after struggling through a brutal season a year ago certainly has the program headed back in the right direction, Sean.
Well, it started with this recruiting class and already lined up next year. I think officially right now on ESPN.com, it's number 2 in the country. It actually slipped 1 spot to number 2 in the country, but a great class once again lined up to come to Westwood.
Watering no. Thomas Welsh rips it away. Thomas Welsh has sort of been the forgotten man so far this year for the Bruins. 7-foot junior from Redondo Beach. Alford with his second.
Steps right in off that screen. Feet set. He doesn't need a lot of room.
Wintering tries the wraparound pass. It'll go out of bounds. Untouched.
You know, we talked about Bryce's efficiency, watching from right off the screen. His feet don't, his heels never touch the floor. He goes right off of his toes, elevates up quickly. A very confident young man out on the floor.
Sean, explain why the presence of Lonzo Ball makes everybody on the floor better.
Well, it just allows them to breathe. You know, I think for a long time, Bryce Alford felt like he had to be the point guard, the shooting guard, and the consummate scorer. Now he doesn't have to do that. UCLA's offense has been flowing better. So they got a couple early turnovers here. You got to clean it up.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Gildan. Every thread counts.
Nearly 39,000 students on the campus of Cal State Fullerton, although not nearly that many tonight because it's Thanksgiving, and we're so glad you could spend part of your holiday with us, along with Sean Farnham and Jeff Goodman. I'm Doug Sherman. UCLA with a 1-point lead. 14th ranked team in the nation has made 3 field goals, all threes, but Sean, as you alluded to, going to break 4 turnovers is not good. No,
and when you talk about pace, you can expect maybe you're going to have a couple of turnovers, but UCLA has valued the basketball in the early stages of the season, averaging just a shade over 12 turnovers per contest, and at the overall pace in which they're playing, that's not bad. But they've got 4 early in this game, and really you could even say the offensive rebound that 2 guys were fighting over should have been another turnover, which would be 5, because that should have been a UCLA possession. So what they've done is they've allowed Portland now to get out and find confidence. These guards, these guys, look, everybody in the building thinks UCLA is going to come out on the floor here and just take care of business and just move on. But Terry Porter's squad, they've come out, they've been focused, and they've been attentive to the details. at the last play. The officials are over at the table looking at it. I don't know what they're looking at there. I mean, the ball clearly was off of Lonzo Ball.
And certainly was just a basketball play, potentially nothing that would be deemed flagrant. So the officials saw whatever they were going to see and were back to action. The Pilots from Portland, Oregon, in their purple uniforms with the white lettering and trim. UCLA in that classic look, white uni with the blue lettering. Jazz Johnson, who served as the backup point guard last year, starting at the 2-guard position this year. Long rebound comes out to Gabe Taylor.
Finish off the possession with the rebound.
Wettering tries to finish over the 7-footer, couldn't do it. Lonzo Ball, 3-on-2, protects that basketball like he's a running back, and will head to the free throw line to shoot a pair.
Well, UCLA has played Portland once before in this tournament. It wasn't called the Wooden Legacy, then it was the 76 Classic. That was back in 2009. Portland won that game 74-47. A barrage of three-pointers from the outside knocked off the UCLA Bruins. A team that plays free and can be confident is a dangerous team.
Leaf, averaging 20 points and 10 rebounds, banks in his first 2.
You know what's better than a team that plays free and plays a little confident is a talented team that plays free and confident. That's what UCLA's been so far.
No doubt about that. 4-0 coming in, ranked 14th in the nation. Leaf with the rebound. Ball, nothing but net.
If you haven't seen his shot before, it's a little unorthodox, a little bit of a wind-up to get to it, but he's got great range. He's really inconsistent, struggled with it, in particular in their trip to Australia over the summer.
Taylor spots up. Leaf may have gotten a piece. Ball with his head up, finds the trailer Alford. Good closeout by Jazz Johnson. Johnson blocked by Alford. And the ball thrown out of bounds.
UCLA doesn't mind those transition threes, but watch a little bit of the wind-up. Comes over to his left side, then releases Pure up on top.
If you make 8 out of every 18, you can shoot it however you want. That's what his numbers are so far this year.
Well, those numbers are better than what his percentages were over the summer, too. So, small sample size, but certainly if he stays that efficient, I don't think anybody at UCLA is going to say anything about it.
Into the ball game, Aaron Holiday, who misfired.
And he's been instant offense off the bench. He's really the 6th starter. Now, you've got 5 starters that you can actually start the game with. He'd be the 6th.
Johnson uses the screen from Hartwich and rattles it home. 5 early points for the sophomore from Portland. Leaf, little hesitation, leans in and banks it home again.
Surprised that wasn't an N1. A lot of contact on that drive as TJ Leaf went in.
Winnering. Back pass Taylor. Handed off Marshall. And the senior from Mount Vernon, New York, has to kick it back out. Now they list Alec Winnering at 6 feet tall. He's not that big, but he is not afraid to go into the lane.
Well, no, he's not. And one of the things that I'll tell you, though, is that doesn't go down as a block shot, but it should. I mean, Thomas Welsh and his defensive rotation is the reason why Winnering had no chance to make that shot. Winnering's off to a great start this season. Averaging 19 points per game, 8 assists per contest, in the top 10 in assists. You mentioned Lonzo Ball, one of the national leaders in that category, but Winnering's right there with him.
Welsh hands it off. Bryce Alford bounces it back to the big man and buries it from the baseline.
Steve Alford told me over the summer when I watched his team practice that if Thomas Welsh misses a shot from 18 feet and in, it's shocking. I mean, they expect it to be as automatic as any player on this roster.
Marshall gets the 3 at the other end for the Pilots.
Well, for UCLA fans a season ago, defensive efficiency was a major problem for UCLA. They allowed Oregon State to come in and score 86 points and pick up a win in the final weekend of the regular season. And thus far, their defensive numbers have been better. They were 65th in the country a season ago in points per possession at this end of the floor. Right now, they've moved up to number 50. But they're giving up too many easy points right now, and the help side rotation is a little slow.
Gabe Taylor's first 2 points, the junior from Newburgh, Oregon, has been thriving in the new system under Coach Porter. Ball finds Welch. There's another one of those 15-footers you're talking about, Sean.
And understanding your players, and that's what the one thing that has impressed me most about Lonzo Ball is that he understands how to put his guys in position to be successful. He doesn't deliver a pass to a player that's going to be uncomfortable catching it in that location on the floor.
Wettering from deep. Back to a three-point ball game. Welch faces up. And he's fouled on the double team. Jarrell Marshall picks up the personal. The Bruins up 3.
Very thankful for my family and friends, and very humbled that I have an opportunity to coach the great young men that I have here at UCLA. I wish all of you a very safe and happy Thanksgiving.
So Coach Alford celebrated his 52nd birthday yesterday. He celebrates Thanksgiving today, and Sean Farnaby's hoping to celebrate all week long with this tremendous freshman class.
It is a fabulous freshman class. We focused a lot on Lonzo Ball and what makes him unique. And start with TJ Leaf, though. He's skilled. He's got a very high basketball IQ, and we've seen that in the early stages, not only of this game, but overall this season. And then you look at the playmaking ability and the explosive athleticism of Lonzo Ball, and he has been around everywhere you want to be. And Ike Anigbogu, who we're going to see at some point in time, probably this week. It did not dress out tonight, but he's got great size and is going to offer another dimension defensively, and one that they could use right now, to be honest with you, is protecting the rim and being aggressive and having a presence in the paint.
And Ike can do that and then some. 6'10", 250. He just turned 18, yet looks like a grown man. Marshall buries the 3, and the Pilots have retied the ball game.
Well, 2 for 2 from beyond the arc, and that time you just turn your head and you have no awareness of where your man is. And you turn your back to who you're guarding, you're going to give up an open shot.
Foul on the rebound.
Portland, the drive in the middle. Johnson throws a nice bounce pass, leading Marshall right to the spot. And defensively, you've got to pinch in and have awareness of where the ball is and where your man is. UCLA has not been crisp at the defensive end of the floor.
Gigi Golema on the give and go. Ball will shoot 2.
Well, and for this program to take a step forward, you know, you see the 14th ranking in the country. For them to be a Final Four team, for them to be an Elite 8 level team, for them to compete to potentially win the Pac-12 championship this year, they need to defend. They need to be committed to that end of the floor. Steve Alford knows it. When they went to Australia and I went to a couple of their practices, they spent a good 2/3 of the practice talking about defensive philosophies, and they've changed things up from what they were doing a year ago, which is why I think coming into this game, their efficiency mark has been around the level in which Coach Alford would expect. But thus far in this game, they have not been committed to the defensive end of the floor. They have not taken pride in stopping their opponents.
Wettering, 3 from 18 feet. And he's got 9 points already.
Holiday was easy to be screened, and then there was no help coming up over the top. That's a wide open mid-range jump shot.
Portland takes a 1-point lead. Ball, another open look from the right wing, rattles out.
The other thing, too, is when you're not getting stops, it's really hard to get out in transition. You know, when you're getting stops and you're rebounding the ball and outletting it, and players are running the opposite direction and the floor is open, that's when you can see some of the showtime dunks that we've seen in the early stages of the season for UCLA. But when you're taking the ball out of the net and they're getting back to the defensive end of the floor, now you're playing in the half court. I think the tempo of this game is exactly where Coach Porter would want it to be.
Certainly, Jazz Johnson and Gabe Taylor, as well as Alec Wintering, have thrived through the first 3 games under new head coach Terry Porter. What does it mean for a team like Portland, young guys, 18, 19, 20 years old, to have a guy like Coach Porter come in with his NBA pedigree?
Well, if you're not listening to him, you're probably not going to listen to anyone. You know, I mean, what do you need on the resume that he's lacking?
Jeff?
Guys, I talked to Eric Spoelstra earlier, who played at Portland, was a star at Portland, graduated in 1992, and you know, he also was on the Miami Heat staff when Terry Porter was a player, so he knows Porter well. He advocated for him before he got the job. He said it was an electric hire, and he still could be coaching in the NBA right now if he wanted to, but he prioritized family, stability. Those were the important things. In fact, Spoelstra wore the number 30 at Portland for Porter. He was his idol growing up, and said, you know, it's a great move by this program. He's gotten more calls since Porter got hired than he had since he graduated in 1992.
Well, and there's no question Portland is one of the great sports towns in America. You look at the way they support the Portland Trailblazers, the way they support the Timbers, which is an MLS team up there, one of the best environments in the MLS. If you can get an energy and a buzz going in Portland in basketball at the collegiate level, the fans are going to come out. And already you're starting to see a little bit of excitement. I think that's what Jeff was talking about. But it's a tough year to try to do that. The WCC is extremely strong, and especially at the top. Gonzaga, St. Mary's, and BYU, even though BYU took the loss last night, all going to be tournament teams this year.
Isaac Hamilton. That's his second made three. A lot of weapons for the Bruins, who retake the lead 26-24. Johnson with three of his own. Lee for the high post, gives it back to Holiday. It's raining threes here in Fullerton, California.
UCLA on pace to get their 40 points, but guess what? So's Portland.
Wintering, a little strong that time. Lonzo Ball, Holiday, shows the ball, goes around Tyson, and he will shoot two. UCLA being pushed by Portland. It's a two-point ball game. The championship game of the Battle for Atlantis is set. Louisville will take on Baylor tomorrow, 3:30 Eastern on ESPN. And Sean Farnham, how about the job Jonathan Motley did today, just carving up Michigan State? 20 of his 26 points in the first half, and he was a big problem.
He has been playing well this entire tournament down in the Battle for Atlantis, but it shouldn't be surprised. Baylor has advanced to the championship game of a regular season tournament for the third time in the last 4 years with that win today. They play well early, and they look to have an opportunity to win a championship in one of these events. And there's only limited opportunities to be called a champion during the course of your season. One of them's right now. Yet this conference, regular season conference tournament, and then NCAA. That's it. 4.
And we just saw some of the Nebraska Cornhuskers heading for the exits. They are going back to their hotel, presumably after a hard-fought win against Dayton, and they will get the winner of this ball game tomorrow night. Johnson will shoot a pair.
And Portland is tough to guard. They are small, but they are quick, and their guards are aggressive and have no fear.
Jazz Johnson out of Lake Oswego High School in Portland. And do you know what former UCLA great attended that same high school?
The guy that lit up the NBA in the first quarter last night?
Sure did.
Unbelievable. Kevin Love. What a performance he had in the opening quarter of that contest for the Cavs. Lake Oswego, a beautiful area, by the way, if you've never been up there.
Portland in its zone. Lead from the high post, back to the corner. Hamilton off the back iron. High for the rebound, the Portland point guard, Alec Wintering. And he is able to find openings in the defense to get clean looks.
But look at the job defensively. The transition defense, very strong for Portland. They're getting back to the paint, trying to give up dunks and layups.
Leaf on second effort puts it in. That little sequence hurts his field goal percentage. TJ Leaf came in shooting 73% from the floor. 1 out of 2 is not good for him. Rebound grabbed by Ray Moreno from Chihuahua, Mexico. Johnson misfires. Holiday will dribble up. Here's Alford, who had a couple of early three-pointers. Terrific ball movement. Goleman with the flush.
That's execution in the half court. And excellent job being unselfish and reading the play. A beautiful dump down from the high post. Easy finish.
Murray picked up his dribble. The huge rejection by Goleman. Portland will have it with 16 seconds to shoot.
And Goleman, in that last possession, hiding out on the baseline. TJ Leaf knew it. A beautiful dump down pass, and Goleman able to finish with nobody around him.
30-second timeout. We'll take a break. UCLA has stretched the lead to 5, back in 30 seconds. Back in Fullerton, California, our fourth quarterfinal of the Wooden Legacy. UCLA up 5 on Portland.
Ball on the bench right now. Holiday, who assumes a lot of the point guard responsibilities, but the versatility within these lineups I think is going to be interesting for UCLA as the season progresses, because I don't think you have to just put it in one player's hands. You have multiple guys that they get a rebound and they can go up the floor. You're more than comfortable with them pushing it.
That's the 5th Portland turnover, Sean.
We mentioned UCLA's ability to score the basketball, coming in just under 106 points per game. And they're second best in the nation, though, averaging 25 assists per contest. So a lot of their made field goals are coming from the unselfish nature of this group.
Well, the 105.8, their season average coming in, the most by a Bruins team since all the way back in 1990. As you mentioned, great balance. Ball, Alford, Hamilton, Leaf, Welsh, and Holiday all averaging double figures. But another UCLA turnover.
That's their 6th turnover of the game. They're a little careless, and that was an unforced one right there.
Catch and shoot. DeMarcus Tyson can't find the range. Catch and shoot. Bryce Alford a little long that time. Wintering calls for the screen. Goes the other way. Good defense that time by Hamilton to cut Jackson off.
The Portland guards are always probing. They're always looking to see if they can find a seam to attack.
Back out Taylor. Goleman snatches the rebound. Quickly ahead to Leaf. Pull up. 3rd time he's tried to use the glass. 1st time he's missed. Lonzo Ball waits at the scorer's table to check back in for UCLA. Tyson. It's a 2-point ball game.
UCLA is playing at Portland's speed, at Portland's tempo, and Portland's playing confident and knocking down shots.
Alford in with the trees, and how did that go in? 8 points for the senior from Albuquerque. Alford called for the foul. As you said, Alec Wintering will penetrate time and again. We'll take a break from Fullerton.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Lowe's.
Coach Wooden, unprecedented success at UCLA, bringing this program to a level that we have never seen and probably never will see again. When you look at the amount of success, whether it's the 88 straight games in which they won the national championships, formerly the Wooden Classic merged with the 76 Classic and became the Wooden Legacy. Throughout the course of this tournament, we'll be talking about Coach Wooden and all that he meant to the game. And I can tell you from my own personal experiences of playing for UCLA, Coach Wooden was at every single home game during my 4-year stretch of being part of this program.
Sitting right behind the bench. And I loved last night during the banquet that UMC'd, the fact that one of his grandchildren took the stage and was able to represent the family so well.
Yeah, Greg Wooden was at the banquet last night and talked about the importance of this tournament, this event, to his grandfather's legacy.
Pass going to be taken away by Lonzo Ball. He's got Hamilton with him. Dumps it off. Easy layup.
Yeah, not an easy pass, though. I mean, that was not the cleanest of angles to deliver that one, but Lonzo Ball's awareness, the ability to wrap that back for his teammate to set up the easy two.
Sean, how much of what Lonzo Ball does is innate and how much of it is learned?
I think it's just a feel. I mean, basketball is a game of reaction. You know, you can think about it, but usually if you're thinking, you're going to be a step slow. If you're just reacting and playing and going with your instincts, that's when you're at your best.
Jackson for three.
And Jackson didn't think a lot on that shot. I mean, you see it so often. I mean, how many times do you see a guy catch the ball and then like, look, and should I shoot it, should I not shoot it? And then he shoots it and he misses. You're thinking.
Isaac Hamilton missed the layup. Portland with a chance to retie the ball game, down by 3. Tyson for that time. Air ball. Well, sometimes you just fire away, and maybe you should have thought about it.
That was not a good shot. I mean, in rhythm, yes, but he's been a much better shooter than that all season long. Came into this game shooting 46% from beyond the arc, and that one wasn't close.
Ball swings it to Hamilton. And he will shoot 2. Coming up on the Land Rover halftime report. We'll have a final preview in the battle for Atlantis. Also update you on the Advocare Invitational. And of course our first half highlights and statistics.
Isaac Hamilton off to a really stellar start to the season, and you think about senior leadership and having some experience. I think that's the blend that I like most about this team, is that you have some seniors that have been around and have experienced NCAA tournaments, experienced hardships like they did a season ago. Intermixed in was a very excitable and talented freshman class.
Taylor withstood the first attack from Hamilton, but ultimately turns it over. Ball, the corner 3.
And Bryce knew that one was good. As soon as he made the pass to Leaf, he put the 3 fingers up in the air, and Lonzo's father sitting right behind the UCLA bench smiling.
Foul on the handoff against Moreno.
There's the move up court. Bryce Alford sees it, and you got to read it to see the first pass that's going to lead to that second pass. That second pass is what allowed that wide open shot. A good assist by Leaf and a nice knockdown by Lonzo Ball. The Bruins once again 9 halves in a row now where they've been over 40 points.
Bryce Alford. Jackson, little fade away. Hamilton takes the rebound away from Weldon. Bruins on the move. Try to drop it for Leaf. And they will reset with 45 seconds remaining in the half. Welsh to the jump hook. Front rimmed it. Moreno with another rebound.
I think if you're Portland, you feel really good about where you're at. You have taken UCLA out of transition. They haven't gotten up into the rim and have a lot of those high-flying dunks that we've seen in their first 4 games before the Wooden Legacy.
Some more sweet music from Jazz Johnson. He leads all scorers with a dozen. Timeout UCLA.
Well, Portland has been extremely aggressive in this game, and they start with the dribble penetration against the inside, and then you collapse. And when you collapse, what happens is you start giving up wide-open looks from beyond the arc. UCLA has not fought through screens. They have not showed well as they've gone over screens. And subsequently, 7 3-point makes by Portland here in the first half has kept this game a lot closer than many people would have thought.
Portland was picked low in the preseason poll of the WCC, and as you talked about, Sean, there's a lot of talent, especially at the top of that league. But they have gotten off to a terrific start to the Terry Porter era, 3-0 coming in and hanging with the 14th ranked team in the country. And a reminder coming up on the Land Rover halftime report. We will update you from Atlantis, from Orlando, and of course here in Orange County, California. Shot clock off. Final 11 seconds of the half. Lonzo Ball with the basketball. The freshman All-American from Chino Hills. Shovel pass Welsh, and another mid-range shot buried by the 7-footer. Jazz Johnson off the window, no. Good final possession by UCLA to go to the locker room up November evening. Part of Feast Week presented by Lowe's. And happy Thanksgiving once again, everybody. So glad you could be here for the Wooden Legacy. This is our 4th and final quarterfinal with Sean Farnham. I'm Doug Sherman, and Portland has been able to hang around with the 14th best team in the country in large part because the 3-point shot can be the equalizer. Well,
and it was really in the first half, but it's not just about the threes. And we're going to show you a lot of the 3-point makes for Portland here in the first half, but the ability for the guards to get to the center of the defense has been a huge problem for UCLA in the first half. They're able to break you down from the perimeter, get inside the paint, and when you get a piece of the paint, the defense is collapsing and is allowing too many open looks on the outside. Meanwhile, first half, Lonzo Ball, 2 of 4 shooting from the floor, 7 points to go along with 7 assists, and a nice job setting up his teammates. Only 1 turnover in the first half for Lonzo Ball, 6 turnovers overall, though, for UCLA. That's got to get cleaned up in the second half. And if you watch this game and you're thinking, okay, well, where's the high-flying action? We didn't see a lot of it in the first half because defensive transition was really strong for Portland, and UCLA, they themselves thrived from beyond the arc. 7 made 3-pointers for UCLA. In the second half, though, I think the focus has got to be on defense. You got to rebound the ball better. You're equal on the glass at the half against the Portland Pilots, and you're allowing their guards to get into the teeth of your defense. UCLA wants to force middle, that's fine, but your rotation's got to be a lot crisper.
Ball 7 points, 7 assists. Isaac Hamilton 10 points, 12 points by Jazz Johnson to lead all scores for Portland. This halftime report presented by Land Rover, above and beyond.
You're watching ESPN's Feast Week, presented by Lowe's.
Welcome back to the Wooden Legacy on the campus of Cal State Fullerton. You're watching ESPN's Feast Week, presented by Lowe's. With Sean Farnham and Jeff Goodman, I'm Doug Sherman. So glad you can join us here on Thanksgiving night. The Portland Pilots out of the West Coast Conference giving 14th ranked UCLA and its freshman point guard Lonzo Ball all it can handle through 20 minutes. And the Pilots in their purple uniforms with the basketball first, led by their all-conference point guard Alec Wintering. Gabe Taylor had a relatively quiet first half, trying to spin on Leaf, nowhere to go. Little crossover by Ball, shovel pass handled by Welsh. Ball wide open for 3.
That's great unselfishness. A year ago, Bryce Alford takes that shot. This year, he has faith in his teammates, makes the extra pass, and gets even a cleaner and better look for UCLA.
This is the Bruins' largest lead.
That's a foul. If you're going to hard hedge, you got to get down low and really show. And he's standing too upright there, easy to attack. But watch the passing here, over the top. Now that's a shot a year ago. Instead, look at the quality shot he opens up for his teammates.
Pretty good. Yep. Johnson's going to be. Nope, they've got an illegal screen. That's Philip Hartwich, the 7'1" junior from Cologne, Germany. Thought perhaps Jazz Johnson was going to be called for carrying the basketball, but instead it's personal. Either way, it goes back to UCLA. There's another assist and another bucket off of that statistic we just showed you. They are sharing the basketball at this end of the floor.
Very good ball movement so far. They ran that same play early in the first half. Got a good look from beyond the arc. And how about that one? The traditional 4-point play opportunity for Portland.
Sure.
We see it all the time.
Jazz Johnson has had it all working tonight.
Well, and if you're Bryce Alford and you get hung up on that screen, you've got to give enough space. I mean, no need to foul. There's zero need to foul right there.
There's your 4-point play. Johnson leads all scorers with 16. Welch faces up and shoots over Hartwich.
So again, a very similar feel so far to this game as we saw in the first half. Not a lot of defense, and a lot of guys making shots.
And you're not particularly surprised by that, are you?
Well, you think adjustment-wise, and then does a good job, of course, to travel there. Adjustment-wise, you know, so much of defense comes down to effort. You know, how hard do you want to compete at that end? How much pride do you have to try to string together stops? And for both these teams right now, look, for Portland, you're going against one of the best offenses in the country. And you've kind of kept them in reachable distance the entire first half. For UCLA, though, when do you want to put your foot down on the throttle and start to pull away? Maybe it's right now.
Welsh now with a dozen. Let's go back to Jeff.
I was talking to Bryce Alford about that last night, John, and he said, listen, defense, we can get better with effort over the course of the season. Offense, it's hard to do that. Either you have guys who can make plays in the offensive end or you don't. He felt like defense, they'll continue to improve in that area.
Well, there was a heck of a defensive sequence for Hamilton. Turns into two thanks to the hustle by T.J. Leaf.
Well, let's go counter opposite, Jeff, and think about teams that are really good defensively. San Diego State, for example, an elite-level defensive team over the last couple of years. But offensively, they've struggled. They've been about 170 in the country. So they're still trying to figure out how to get better offensively. For UCLA, you don't have to really worry about being better offensively. The commitment to D, that's a process.
A short while ago, Isaac Hamilton joined the 1,000-point club, but it's his defense we're talking about here.
And for UCLA, that's going to be the key for their success. And defense leading to offense, not anticipating the make. T.J. Leaf follows it up and puts it back in. A nice job for UCLA. But before we were going to break, we were talking about, you know, trying to get better at defense and how much of that's effort. And Jeff Goodman was talking about how Bryce said, hey, that's an area where they feel like they can grow over the course of the year. For San Diego State, a very good program out of the Mountain West Conference. They've been elite at the defensive end of the floor, and they've been top 5, usually year in and year out. But their offense has been about 170. And, Jeff, it close to your point, which is they're spending so much time on offense right now, and it's hard to make guys that are innately not good offensive players. It just doesn't happen.
I think the key is, obviously, when I talk to coaches, is you want to get a mix, right? I mean, I saw Cincinnati last week, and they don't have a lot of skilled guys. And Mick Cronin admittedly is saying now he needs to recruit more skilled guys to go with the tough, hard-nosed players that he's had over the years. So you want to get a mix. Right now, UCLA doesn't look to have that mix.
Well, the best teams in the country do. And maybe EK, when he comes in, will add some toughness in the interior, and hopefully we get a chance to see him at some point in time this week, and another talented freshman for UCLA to maybe be a little bit more of a presence in the paint. You get 1 or 2 of those guys, though, you don't need 5. You need 2. two guys that want to defend, and all of a sudden you get to that next level.
Certainly, when you look at TJ Leaf coming out of high school, his reputation was somebody that was not a big-time defender. And, you know, again, these kids coming in as freshmen, how many of them, Sean, hang their hat on defense?
None. But they hang their hat on that end of the floor. It's a pretty good-looking hat to hang up when UCLA can function the way they can offensively. 62 points, 11-0 run, all of a sudden stringing together some stops, and Johnson stops that one.
Sean, Steve Alford, when I talked to him coming out of the locker room, didn't seem that overly upset about his defense.
I'll be interested to see what the analytics say afterwards as far as their efficiency goes per 100 possessions.
Ball misses the three, and you guys talking about Ike Anabogu. He is expected to play, if not tomorrow, then on Sunday, most likely. And at 6'10", 250 pounds, he would help to provide some of that of what you're talking about, Sean.
Well, and I think another point to what Jeff was talking about is you got to be who you are. And seeing that we're at the Wooden Legacy, I always like to pull out a John Wooden quote every now and then. And he said it best. I think you have to be what you are. Don't try to be somebody else. You have to be yourself at all times. And if you're watching this UCLA team, you know who they are? They're an offensive-minded basketball team that is unselfish. They play together, and they've got numerous weapons on the floor at all times. One of them, the very talented freshman, Lonzo Ball. Once again from beyond the arc, and the Bruins have opened up their lead to 19.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Lowe's.
Cal State Fullerton, the host of the first 2 days of the Wooden Legacy, and then after having Saturday off, the action will shift down the freeway to the Honda Center for our championship round on Sunday. The winner of this ball game moves on to the semifinal round tomorrow night here in Fullerton against the Nebraska Cornhuskers.
And people forget about some of the basketball tradition here at Fulton. Cedric Sabalas, part of the Cal State Fullerton program, Bruce Bowen as well. Now, UCLA starting to pull away, and what I do like about UCLA has been their patience. They've had some good patience at the offensive end of the floor, even though they have not been able to get out in transition. I mean, they haven't looked flustered by the fact that Portland is sending 4 guys back as soon as the shot goes up.
Jazz Johnson off the mark.
And that's a prime example. Offensive rebound, and there's no one for him to pass the ball to because everybody's running down to the opposite end.
Aaron Holiday, the lob. Ball has to come down with it and lay it in on the other side.
That was a sensational catch. I mean, that was a poor pass that turned into 2. Could have easily been a turnover.
15 points for the freshman from Chino Hills.
And sometimes you're not going to get the perfect pass. You got to go up and bring it back in. A nice job not trying to go straight to the basket on that one. Instead, corralling it and going up on the opposite side.
Well, we have certainly gotten a glimpse this evening of why Lonzo Ball is on the 50-person Wooden Award watch list. And he will stay on the floor as TJ Leaf goes out, replaced by Gigi Goleman. Three-point try off the mark by Taylor. Here comes ball. Shuffle past Goleman. Ball after the loose ball, but it's point guard Wittering who comes up with it for Portland. He finds Johnson. Quickly into the front court. Ball to bounce pass. Goleman had it go off his hands and out of bounds. It's rivalry weekend, and Saturday at noon Eastern on ABC. We'll have the 113th playing of the game. Number 3 Michigan, number 2 Ohio State. From the shoe, college football playoff spot could hang in the balance with the Buckeyes having won the last 4 and 11 of 12 against the Wolverines. It's also streaming live on ESPN app and watch ESPN.
It's going to be a great game. I can't wait to see it on Saturday. Remember last year, the Buckeyes, they absolutely dismantled Michigan 42-13 in Ann Arbor. JT Barrett ran for 139 and 3 touchdowns. Just the quarterback of Ohio State. But I think Jabril Peppers is going to be a lot of fun to watch in this game. He said he watched video of the Buckeyes versus Penn State, Wisconsin, Northwestern. He thinks the best way to knock the Buckeyes off is to be physical with them at the defensive end. We'll see how physical he can be and if that's going to be the secret of success for the Wolverines.
And part of what a true rivalry is when you have some balance in the final scores, and that has not been the case the last decade plus.
Well, Michigan hasn't won at Ohio State since 2000.
No. Lonzo Ball leaves his feet, finds Hamilton free in the corner.
And that's pretty offense to watch, though. Patient, balanced. That's going to be on the floor. I think that's a good call.
Little forearm shiver from Ball on the floor. Wittering looking for the call. Got the call, but no bucket. Back to Fullerton after this.
Thankful to having this opportunity to be with the University of Portland as we start our journey and try to build this program at a level that we all can be proud of, alumni, supporters, and the city of Portland.
Well, and I think the level of excitement for Terry Porter, as you mentioned, his illustrious career, but I think part of being a good coach is also hiring great assistants. And the 2 guys sitting next to him, Coach Johnson, Coach Cantu, wealth of experience inside the Pac-12 and have already paid dividends. We talked about UCLA's recruiting class this year and then also what they've got coming in next year. I think Portland's done a sensational job finding a couple of international players that are going to be able to come in and immediately impact the Portland Pilots program. Scott Lakem, their athletic director, did an excellent job in the coaching search because I'll tell you what, I personally like Eric Reveneau a ton. And I thought he did a very good job at Portland. Was it time for a change and maybe a fresh voice? Yeah. And I think Terry Porter's offering that in a different perspective and a different style of play.
Ball finishes the lob from Holiday, and he'll have a chance for 3.
Well, that was pretty. And a good pass, Holiday, against the zone, up over the top. Go ahead, drop it in. Lonzo Ball, really impressive player to watch. You see him in person, he gives you a better sense of his size, his athleticism, and just his overall awareness out on the court. And there's his father. Don't worry, he's got a couple other ones that are coming too that are pretty talented.
Absolutely. Lonzo has gotten to his season averages, 18 points, 9 assists and counting. Holiday dribbles up. Golemon to the left hand. Can't get the roll. There's a second effort by Ball, but here come the Pilots the other way. Wittering into the trees, no. Marshall picks it up. Missed the layup. Golemon secures it for UCLA. Teardrops for Alford, and he draws the foul.
You know, I spent some time with Bryce Alford yesterday, and one of the things I think when you think about Bryce Alford, a lot of times people have been very critical of Bryce over the course of his collegiate career. Quality of shot at times. There's been questions about, it's difficult playing for your dad. But one of the things I think people often misunderstand about Bryce is Bryce, I don't think, really cares about his statistics. I think he just really wants to win. And over the last couple seasons, there haven't been a lot of guys around him that could make the shots or take the shots that Bryce Alford has taken. And go back to that Arizona game and how big he was down the stretch a season ago. Now you don't see him taking as many of those ill-advised shots this season. And he is all in it to win. And I think that's the one thing that, as a UCLA graduate and a person that watches the majority of their games and live in the Los Angeles area and read a lot of the newspaper articles, I think people have the wrong perception of Bryce Alford as far as who he is and what he really values. He loves this game. He studies this game. And he'd be playing this game whether or not his dad was the head coach of UCLA.
And Jeff, you had a chance yesterday as Leaf buries the three. You talked yesterday to Steve Alford about that very thing, about how his son has progressed and handled all of it.
You know what? I was shocked talking to both of them just at how honest and forthright that Bryce was. Steve's biggest takeaway to me was Bryce doesn't care. He doesn't care about all this stuff written about him. But when I asked Bryce, I said, what did you think when you guys were getting Lonzo Ball? Because obviously the big question then was who was going to have the ball in their hands all the time. You knew it should be Lonzo because he's the natural point. We're seeing that tonight. And he said, listen, the last 3 years, all I heard was, you're not a point guard, you're not a point guard. And I was trying to prove to myself and everybody that I was a point guard. With Lonzo coming in, it's taken the burden off my shoulders. You know, it's been huge for me because I'm better at running off screens. I'm more efficient, my numbers are better, and I'm happier.
Yeah, and subsequently, their offense is flowing a lot better, too.
A lot better. Now, again, TJ Leaf helps also.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's not all, by the way, on Bryce, and that's not why I'm saying that. But I think that you look at the confidence they have. Basketball at its purest sense, you're sharing the ball. You're cutting, you're moving, you're spacing. You know, you're running in the open floor, trying to score in transition. UCLA has been held out of transition tonight, and still with 9 minutes, almost 10 minutes left to go in the game, they got 74 points.
Yeah, again, I just think it goes back to, like you said, Sean, the perception of Bryce is not really accurate because he didn't have a lot around him over the last couple of years that wanted to take the big shot. So every time he would take it, we would crucify him. Oh, there he goes again, you know, shooting and jacking shots. But let's face it, he wants it at least.
Here he is for three. Right on cue.
He wants it. There's no doubt he wants it.
He's a tough kid. Mentally, he is a tough kid.
Yep. And that play, by the way, one of the things nobody will focus on, the rebound by Lonzo Ball and the flip pass that started it all.
32nd time out of the floor. The son of Steve Alford knocking down a shot. He's now got 13 points.
Well, in transition again, feet set, squared underneath them. In the last 4 years, you've seen Bryce Alford hit that shot a lot.
You know, he's the only returning Power 5 player in the country to have averaged 16 points, 5 assists, 3 rebounds per game last season.
Yep.
And you see his all-time three-point shooting. Jason Capono is a possibility. He could catch him if he's able to do what he did a couple of years ago and go over 90 for the year. But he is freed up to do more of that because for 38 minutes a game, he doesn't have the basketball in his hands.
Well, and that's a big component of all this. Quality of shot, quality of execution overall. And when you're a competitor and you want to win, sometimes you get lost within that. And I think Bryce Alford has come out of the clouds and is now seeing everything very clearly to how they have to play this year to be successful.
I have a good story, guys. I asked him.
Well, that's better than normal? I have a good story? Well, that's good. Hey, America, Jeff's got a good story. Go ahead, Jeff.
I asked him what his favorite moment was playing for his dad, and he said in the NCAA tournament when they beat SMU, he had 9 threes. So at the end of the game, he hits the 9 threes, and his dad goes up to him and says, the last one didn't count. And he was lying because of the fact that, what was Steve's record? 8 threes. So he's got the stat sheet to prove the fact that, if you know, he wasn't the player that Steve was, obviously, at Indiana, but you can always say, I've got the record for threes in a game.
You know what, Jeff? That was a good story.
Thanks, Sean. I appreciate it.
Way to add something to the broadcast.
And how about TJ Leaf? It has been a relatively quiet night for him. He came in averaging over 20 points and 10 rebounds per game, but the 6'10" freshman with a chance for 3.
I think
he's part of this new equation.
Yeah, we talk so much about Lonzo Ball, and deservedly so, as Lonzo's going to take a break. But TJ Leaf has been very much so an important aspect of this team, whether it be on the glass, averaging a double-double, but to 20 points. To me, he's just really skilled. I mean, he just understands his great hands, catches everything, has awareness of where he is on the floor and who's around him.
Coach Alford told us yesterday perhaps the best aspect of his two prized freshmen is how coachable they are, and they're both yes sir, no sir kind of guys, and it was refreshing to hear Coach Alford say that. Here is Lee, thought about it. Doleman, nice job to receive that catch and lay it in.
A good pin and seal, good catch. Good help side defense that time by Portland. Kind of ran through the ball rather than getting it and grabbing it.
Jazz Johnson, he's having a big ball game against the 14th ranked team in the country.
Yeah, but if I'm Nebraska and I'm watching this game, I'm thinking get to the middle and then relocate the shooters on the outside, because that's what Portland has done extremely well. And every time there's penetration, somebody loses their man because they're watching the ball.
Just over 7 minutes remaining. Timeout from the UCLA bench.
Well, UCLA coming off of a year in which they missed the NCAA tournament. This year, the focus is on not just getting back, but advancing. Off to a good start this season, off to a good second half.
85-61 UCLA, and we have been witnessing another efficient performance from the freshman point guard Lonzo Ball. 18 points, 11 assists.
And he's done it in every way, shape, and form you can think of. 6 of 9, that level of efficiency is representation of UCLA. Their defense slightly better here in the second half. Their offense much better here in the second half. And as you mentioned, 18 points, 11 assists. His rebounding numbers a little bit lower than where they've been.
Let me go over to Jeff, standing by with Lonzo's dad.
So I got LeVar Ball over here behind me. My chair's a little bit unsturdy, but he's got me. LeVar, what do you think of Lonzo's performance so far tonight?
Lonzo's performance is like it's always been when I watch him. Great. He teaches basketball like entertainment, and people thought he wasn't going to get on this level and do the same entertaining. I knew he was.
I know you knew he was, but he's shooting it much better than all of us anticipated so far tonight. I mean, really making threes.
He's making threes. He's shooting the same way he always shot. A good shooter is a guy who makes the right shot at the right time.
So you're very positive about him. We know that. What do you tell him to work on after a game like tonight?
Well, he knows whatever he does in here, he always has more work to do. So I don't never tell him to work on anything because he knows he has to work on everything. This is nothing right here. I'm going to tell you right now before you see it. UCLA going to win the NCAA championship, and you think I'm playing?
You're calling it right here, right now.
Right here and right now. Guaranteed. Come see me when they win it.
What else does he have to do in order to take his game to the next level?
To take his game to the next level, he got to get stronger and faster. Because the next level is just stronger and faster. Things don't change. The plays don't change. It's just the players. On the next level, they're way stronger and way faster. And each time, Zoe keeps going up the ladder. This is the best team he ever played on. That's why I have so much confidence that he can take this team to the NCAA championship.
What about the defense of this team tonight, and him in particular?
The defense to this guys, they're going to get as good as they can. And each time they keep getting better, which is good. All right? They're going to get, as long as they know their identity, which is scoring. Not too many teams can score 100. You have to stop, but you know you can score 100. That's your identity.
Thanks a lot, LeVar.
Hey, you know you got it. You my man, baby.
I wish that Lonzo's dad just had some confidence. I mean, I feel like he's just in his shell, and if he came out and was a little bit more honest and a little bit more opinionated, that really would have sold that interview for us.
Well, he's been watching Lonzo a lot longer than the rest of us, so he knows what he's talking about, and he says the Bruins are going to win the national title.
Well, I will say this. That man right there did the opposite of what the trend is on the grassroots system. A lot of times you see these kids and they're playing the travel ball across the country, going to all the major tournaments. Lonzo Ball, for a majority of his time, he played for his parents on the AAU circuit with his brothers. And they didn't go to a lot of those national tournaments. They weren't funded by the shoe companies. And I think that actually, you know, people said, well, we don't know how he's going to do on the big stage. You know, how's he going to do when he has to break out of like the Chino Hills system and he's playing against all these guys from all around the country? It's gone pretty well so far. It's gone pretty well so far.
And you saw his two brothers, both have committed to UCLA. Leangino and LaMelo. And you talk about what they have done at Chino Hills together. They went 35-0 last year, won a state title. And Lonzo just averaged a triple-double. So the Chino Hills way worked, and bringing it here to UCLA. Holiday. He's got two older brothers who play in the NBA, and he is enjoying a terrific start to his sophomore year here with the Bruins.
Well, and, you know, it brings up to mind Drew Holiday, who just returned to the Pelicans, who played at UCLA. His wife, Lauren Holiday, formerly Lauren Cheney, was an amazing soccer player at UCLA, a member of the national team. And recently, you know, obviously it's been well documented, Drew's return to the Pelicans coincides with a great win streak for a team that's been really struggling. But more importantly, it means that things are good at home. And his wife was dealing with a tumor and the birth of their child. And we wish Lauren well in her recovery. And also good to see Drew back out on the floor for the Pelicans.
No question about that. Under 5 minutes remaining. This game was tight throughout the first half. But UCLA has just continued to stretch that advantage here in the second half. Holiday states his case, thinking that ball went off the leg of Andre Ferguson. But it's Portland basketball. What has it been here in the second half that has allowed UCLA to continue to pull away? And
I think it's just kind of falling into who you are. And this is no disrespect to Portland, but UCLA. Oh, that's who UCLA is. Portland's not that. That was impressive.
Wow. Tyson misses.
And again, one person gets an offensive rebound. There's not another purple jersey on your screen because of the point of emphasis to try to get back and force UCLA to use shot clock.
Solomon fouled from behind.
Well, Aaron Holiday picks up the loose ball. I'll just let you listen. Strong, with authority, explosive. And I mentioned it off the top. Really, I think he's the 6th starter. You can only start 5. I mean, but if you could start 6, he would be the guy. He's a starting quality player that has actually flourished in this early season, coming off the bench and providing a lift and a spark.
And we talk about Bryce Alford accepting a different role. That's certainly been the case for Aaron Holiday as well. With the addition of Lonzo Ball in that backcourt, he is now coming off the bench, and Holiday has accepted that, and through 5 games has done very well with it. Lob inside Goleman. He is tied up. Possession arrow will stay with UCLA.
The last thing you want to do is bring the ball down low. You got to keep it high and finish over the top. But I'm nitpicking. The Bruins have 96. They're going to get 100 again.
In the battle for Atlantis, Baylor took down Michigan State, and Louisville defeated Wichita State. So you've got the Bears and the Cardinals Friday, 3:30 Eastern on ESPN for the championship.
Well, Baylor's front line has been stellar so far this year, but their guards are going to need to be able to perform against Louisville and the pressure of that defense. Louisville's offense has not necessarily hit midseason stride as of yet. Struggled in the opening round of the battle for Atlantis. Played a little bit better at the start of today's game, but they'll need to play a full 40. Baylor's looking strong early.
Now, UCLA has set a tournament record with 29 assists and counting, and the program record is 30. And that was set back in '93, the season opener against Loyola Marymount.
Unselfish group. Look, it's tough sometimes to blend together guys that have been around and a talented young freshman class. But this group has embraced it. And you can tell the way they share the ball, their willingness to make the extra pass. It starts to become contagious. And when it's contagious, it's fun to watch.
And I would think, based on the way last season went, it would be a lot easier for the returning upperclassmen at UCLA to accept the freshman class.
You accept good players. You accept guys that you know are going to make you better. And it's not just Lonzo Ball in this freshman class. TJ Leaf has played very well once again. Very efficient night for him. Not the usual numbers. I think Coach Grace is probably going over it, saying, you know, 6 of 9. That's not quite 70%, so we got to pick that up. But no, I think UCLA, look, they are who they are. They are an offensive, talented team. They're going to get tested. And Nebraska's going to come up with another game plan tomorrow to try to slow them down and force the game to be in the half court. And it's going to be a little bit of an elevation as far as level of talent that they face. They really still haven't played anybody. They have not played a team that's going to the NCAA tournament yet on their schedule. They have the opportunity as this tournament goes on to maybe see 1 or 2.
Holiday now. We haven't talked that much about Thomas Welsh. 16 points, 10 rebounds. And as you talked about, Sean, if you give him a jump shot between 10 and 17 feet, he's going to make it. Yeah,
8 of 10 overall on the game. Very efficient night. UCLA in the second half shooting 60% from the field.
Well, on the season coming in, they had reached 40 points or more in every single half. They've done that tonight, Chap. Averaging 106 points nearly per game. They're on pace to potentially get there, although perhaps not.
They're going to have to pick up the pace to get to that 106.
But they are on the year shooting 57% from the floor, 46% from the arc, and we saw all of that here tonight against Portland.
As they close in on 100, you know, a lot of times these schools have these promotions. Fran Fraschilla is online right now on Twitter talking about promotions. What if you got a free hamburger every time, you know, UCLA got 100? How many people would be showing up for the games inside Pauley Pavilion? You've got to choose the right location, though, for hamburgers in Southern California.
Okay.
To me, it's In-N-Out. You go In-N-Out right away. You can't go any other chain. If you were going to do a promotion like that, it has to be In-N-Out, double-double, animal style.
All right.
I mean, I'm hungry right now.
You're a SoCal guy.
Is In-N-Out still open? There's one right down the road here.
They have to be.
And they still got to get to 100, though. They're 3 points shy right now.
Open till 1, we're hearing.
Don't worry. We'll be headed there in about a minute and 29 seconds worth of game clock action.
So what'd you say as a SoCal guy? The best thing on the menu is
double
In-N-Out?
Double animal style.
Okay.
The grilled onions, really good.
All right.
Really good. You know, think about UCLA and the fact that they're going to get better. EK is going to come and play hopefully at some point in time this weekend. Prince Ali is still coming back from his knee injury. Still some time out for him. But EK offers the ability to block shots around the basket. You know, I remember watching Ryan Hollins and his progression when he was at UCLA. He became a very elite level shot blocker for the Bruins. Then went on and had a very successful career in the NBA.
Willimon has his pocket picked by Andre Ferguson. Tyson hits the 3.
If you're watching right now, what you're thinking is, will the Bruins get to 100 points? That's it.
I think yes. There's 99.
By the way, Bruins in the first 4 games have hit that mark 3 times. Not the best overall in program history. In fact, the Bruins scored 100 or more points in 7 straight games to start the 71-72 season.
Well, with the shot clock at 24, game clock at 26, they could just dribble it out and take the turnover. Or will they allow one of the reserves to put up a shot and maybe get to the century mark? Or turn it over. Indeed, they turn it over.
I don't think they're getting to 100.
I don't either. I've changed my mind 45 seconds later.
There you go. But you know what? They advanced. They did what they had to do. They came out in the second half, A little bit better at the defensive end of the floor. Very efficient at the offensive end of the floor. A very unselfish performance, evident by the number of assists for UCLA. They advance to take on Nebraska. They get to the semifinals of the Wooden Legacy. And Steve Alford's